Dr. Wu, I heard that if those students currently occupy the legislative house not moving out or don't solve the problem, the Magicbell administration might use force to solve the problem. And the force is everybody's worried about either tear gas or water cannon or maybe SWAT team or even military people are talking about. And that means someone is going to die or bleed. Do you think that would happen?
That is something that we really worry as well. If you look at the student movements in the last 20 years or so, maybe a little longer, the first major student movement that we saw took place in late 1989 and early 1990. That was when President Lee Teng-hui was elected by the National Assembly. And the student at the time wanted to have a more democratic way of politics in Taiwan. They want the president to be popularly elected. They want those senior parliamentarians elected in China to be out of their office. They want Taiwan to open up fully for democratic measures like direct election of the president or direct election of the parliament. But the government at the time were very reluctant in using any police force to vacate the Chiang Kai-shek Memorial. The reason is because those students in Taiwan were being seen as purists in any kind of movement. And there was so much public support for the students at the time. And there were more students' movements in the last few years. And they, by the same token, they also received very high support from the public in Taiwan. And this time around, you can also see that the students occupying the legislative yuan also received so much support from the Taiwan public. And when we see more and more students from all over Taiwan pour into either the legislative yuan floor or the area surrounding the legislative yuan, we not only receive support from the Taiwan public, but also from the Taiwanese students studying abroad in Japan, in the United States, in Canada. They show support to the students through various ways. And under these kinds of circumstances, I would say that it's going to be very hard for government to use harsh measures against students. And in order for us to prevent the government from using harsh measures against the students, we try to do something as well. For example, we mobilize our own supporters around the legislative yuan compound, so that if the government want to use the police force to go against the student, they have to go through us first. It's like saying, over my dead body.
Yes.
You know, if you want to go in there, you have to cross our body first. And we also try to give heads ups to the international community, to other governments, telling them that we don't want to see that happening. The students occupying the legislative yuan floor with a very noble cause, with a very simple cause. They just want the service trade agreement to be reviewed through the due process, and that is all. That is also what we want to see. So we hate if something like a police force is used against the student, but it's hard to say what will happen in the future about the way the government will handle the situation.
That's very worrisome.
Very worrisome. On the one hand, we see the one who used to be the Taiwan ambassador to Washington, D.C., and now he's heading the National Security Council, Mr. King.
Do you see him in Washington, D.C. once in a while?
No, I did not get to see him, even though I wanted to see him, but we never had a chance to see each other. He was saying something like, the government in any democracy cannot tolerate the violence. And he's going to head the National Security Council, and he's able to order the police administration or the military or any other law enforcement agencies in Taiwan.
He's entitled to do that.
He's entitled to do that. He has the power to do that. So I'm very concerned that when he goes back to Taiwan, he might be tempted to use some force against the students or demonstrators outside the legislative yuan. And on the other hand, you see the students, they don't seem to be able to get a positive feedback from the president himself. They're asking the president to apologize for the stupid and weird process in the legislative yuan, but the president is not moved at all. And they want the bill to be reviewed, to be sent back to the committee for review. And the president doesn't seem to be in the mood to do so. So you can see the confrontation mode seems to be getting higher and higher, rather than having a common ground where the two sides can meet with each other. So I'm not as optimistic about the situation right now. And the way I feel that this is leading to is the students is going to gather more storm, and they will likely to make protests in different places rather than in the legislative yuan only. And I think they might want to target the KMT headquarters in different regions. The reason is because it's the KMT who does all this. It's the KMT who pull that
give their legislators pressure.
Exactly. And therefore, they might want to spread their force island-wide and use students in schools in different places as a most important base to pressure the KMT local chapters or to pressure the KMT legislators.
Is this kind of a phenomenon happened right after former President Lee Teng-hui? He declared that Taiwan is a democratic country. He even earned Mr. Democracy around the world. Is this happened kind of first time after Taiwan was under 20-some years peaceful democratic country?
Well, this is the first time that I can see that a major movement organized by the student to go against something the government is doing that is not democratic. And we are seeing the positive aspect, even though we are very sad to see what the government has been doing in the last couple of weeks or so in the legislative procedures that are not democratic. As I said a little bit before, the chairman of the Committee on Internal Affairs, when he was trying to review the service trade agreement, actually he was having a hidden microphone, and he ran to the bathroom and he murmured to himself and said, okay, the bill is passed. And that's not democratic.
That's
and people
like
don't
a
see that.
comic.
Yeah, I know. It's so weird. And it's anti-democratic. And we want to have that process reversed. And what the students have been doing is actually to right the wrongs of the anti-democratic actions by the government right now. So the negative thing we see in what happened in the last couple of weeks is that there's something anti-democratic happening to Taiwan's democracy. But at the same time, we are very glad to see our youngsters, our young students, the most vibrant part of Taiwan's democracy, is taking the situation into their hands and trying to correct what's going on.
They took it serious.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
コマーシャルの前、ドクター・ジョゼフ・ウー元駐米大使が私たちに総統府の前での学生運動がもし万が一大変なことになった場合、流血事件が起きるかもしれない。しかしそれも無事終わりました。そして同じ30日の日にここロサンゼルスフェデラルビルディングの前で台湾の留学生たちが500人ぐらい集まりまして、同じように台湾の政府にメッセージを送っています。台湾万岁！万万岁！天香，太会民茂，天香。
500,000 of protesters marching Taipei, just in front of President Ma's palace.
Well, it seems like everybody's anti-service trading agreement with China. And can you briefly tell us why people are against that?
The reason is very simple, because Ma's idea is to try to bring Taiwan to unify with China. And all these students, they cannot take it, okay? They're through this so-called service trade agreement. And Ma just asked his officer to sign the treaty, the agreement, without people's consent.
definitely we're anti the black box. We are not definitely not anti-treaty, because what we are doing is we definitely want China and Taiwan to have a better trade and better economy to boost up both countries' economy. But at the same time, we want this to be openly to the audience, not just simply through the government agencies by their own ways. Definitely, this is not a way of democracy.
Do you think your president in Taiwan will listen?
We hope he will hear our voice and he will make the change according to our needs.
I see you holding a sunflower. What does that mean?
Because this represents we fight for the freedom. This is representing we are just like the sun. It's sunshine represent democracy.
Taiwan never fail. 台湾的朋友，台湾朋友，我们支持你，我们支持你，因为我们是，因为我们是民主的台湾，民主的台湾。
I was invited to come here and I learned about the issue, and the idea that a powerful government will deny a state their sovereignty is just, it's wrong. And America has always stood for freedom. And we acknowledge Taiwan's sovereignty. So it's up to us to stand with them.
We have 4 major demands for our government. The first one is to withdraw the CSSTA and enact a bill that inspects CSSTA in details, form Citizens' Constitutional Assembly, and lastly, stop the violent oppression used on the protesters in Taiwan.
All these students here, they are either from UCL, USC, Northridge, they are youngsters. They care for Taiwan in the future, because the way it's going on now, Taiwan will be taken away by China pretty soon.
So do you think President Ma in Taiwan will listen to everybody?
Not really. He is so tough, okay? He say, no way to rescind the service trade agreement already signed. No way.
So what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? Then there is a long race, okay, between Taiwan student organization and the mass government.
So it's a long, long way to go.
That's right. It will be a long way.
But right now, for the treaty, it's not going through the normal way. It's under secretly. It's being passed. We are fighting for. All we want is we want the treaty to be openly to the public, and that way we know what's going on for the treaty, and it's open trade with China as well. Hi.
We need to stand and protect the right of a state to have their sovereignty. And when somebody tries to encroach that, we've done that all over the world. And freedom is fragile, and it's far too rare. And whether it's here on our own shores or whether it's in another country, if people are demanding that you hear their voice, then we have to stand together in solidarity.
位于洛杉矶的全球接力示威活动，在洛杉矶时间下午2点20开始，活动时间约为1个半至2小时。所有活动与规划皆由学生发起，我们将会全程转播示威活动，请各位观众们收看，我们将为台湾民主发声。
Do you think the government would allow them to hold that legislature house for eternal time?
Not really, okay? I think, because they send out about 7,000 police, even military police.
Is there any other countries students are also supporting?
Yes, it is. As far as I know, like in Europe, okay, Germany, Australia, Italy, many countries, they already did this kind of protest yesterday, not today, okay? Around the country, the people just try to solidify, okay, with action in Taiwan. They are not alone. They are all Taiwanese around the world try to help them.
民主的台湾，民主的台湾。
We still expect peaceful and calm protests. So as a spokesperson for this event and on behalf of this staff, we do not expect any violence to occur.
Are you happy with the gathering today? So many people here. Well, you were expecting more.
This is actually more than we expected. We did a rough head count. It's more than about 600 people. And we're really thrilled with this outcome.
Do you think your President Ma in Taiwan will listen to your voice here?
We hope he does. And we certainly do hope that this event, the whole global rally on March 30th, will send a message to the President.
Do you think students in Taiwan, they are not going to give up no matter under what kind of circumstances there?
Well, we will not give up on our demands, and we will fight in peaceful ways until our demands are heard and answered.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
2時間ほどの抗議活動がここロサンゼルスのフェデラルビルディングの前で終わりました。出席者の人たちは願わくは台湾にいる馬総統が皆さんの声が聞こえるように、その声というのは台湾の民主主義を守り、そして中国とのサービス貿易協定はブラックボックスの中で作業しないように、堂々と国会国民の賛同を得るように願っております。